Hey, it's SuperFunnyBros with another commentary. This time is on the user BenTheLooney, aka PuffyZilliman4. This is sort of a follow-up to my Family Guy video, where I was basically talking about the 5 major complaints about the show and giving my insight on them. This rant by Ben is, in my opinion, the worst Family Guy rant I have ever seen. Not just because he talks about how much he loathes it, but how ridiculously flawed and biased he is. There is no doubt in my mind that he is an absolute Simpsons fanboy, with a sign of nostalgia tard. Let's not waste any more time, let's begin the commentary.
There are a lot of times where I don't understand certain popularities. I never understand why something so bad can be so popular.
Well, what may seem popular to other people may be bad to you, and it can happen the other way around. That's how society works.
Family Guy. For a long time, I've had a long grudge with this show, and I feel now's the time to address it.
Yeah, because apparently nowadays YouTube has become some sort of stress ball for people to let out their grudge and rage upon other people over the internet.
Keep in mind, though, I know this is a very popular show, and I know a lot of my close friends love this show.
I can just imagine it. Ben's friends sitting on the couch enjoying some Family Guy, while Ben is standing behind them and giving the TV the stink eye while shadows cast over him. If somebody can make an artwork of that, I will love you.
So, even though I'm ranting on this show, I have nothing against you if you like it. To each his own.
Trust me when I say that statement is going to kick him in the ass at the end of this video.
I used to love this show. That's right. I got into this show when it first appeared on Adult Swim, and I was obsessed with it. I bought the DVDs and watched every episode constantly, and I never got tired of it. Episodes came on, I started to watch them for a while, and then as I got older, I started to realize that I was starting to be less and less interested in this show. I got tired of hearing the same jokes, getting really offended, and annoyed at all the flashback jokes. So, I stopped watching it, sold all my DVDs, and have since started hating this show.
But surely the DVDs you bought were the older episodes that you said you liked. So I don't think hating the newer episodes would be a good reason to sell those DVDs if they don't pertain any episodes that's later than Season 3. Unless, you're flat out lying to me and thousands of people who have watched your video.
Well, for starters, there's its cliched premise. We have an animated dysfunctional family that goes through several misadventures. Yes, this is a copy of The Simpsons. However, I'm willing to understand that some basic ideas do get copied a lot, and some shows aren't always going to be 100% original.
Now, I could say that would be a valid statement if he didn't even screw that up later in the video, which we'll get to when we come to it.
But that's not what ticks me off about this. He's a big fat guy who has an annoying voice and an annoying laugh, and he's a self-centered idiot.
At least he can sing effectively to about any song he touches.
Rising up, back on the street, did my time, took my chances.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Homer Simpson a self-centered idiot too?
Then there's Lois, a weird wife who kinda acts like some kind of weird sex symbol, as well as a witch. Now, on to the kids. There's Chris, who's an angry teenager who's just as dumb, if not dumber than his father.
He's the offspring of Peter. What did you expect?
In this show, who's always the center of abuse or neglect from her family and peers. Next, there's Stewie, a homosexual stereotype who acts like the biggest wuss you could ever meet.
I'll be quick on this. He is not gay, he is ambiguous, and he acts like a wuss because he's a motherfucking baby. An evil genius toddler wearing red overalls and a yellow shirt is not a gay stereotype. This is a gay stereotype.
Your typical homosexual male will be in great shape, well-dressed, wearing sandals, holding a brightly colored drink, and listening to Celine Dion.
Then finally, there's Brian, a left-wing nut job dog who never shuts up.
At least he has a better view of the world than you do.
However, you know what sucks about this? These characters didn't always used to be like this. Peter used to actually be caring of his family, and he wasn't as brain-dead as he is now.
Peter's not brain-dead. He's just a wisecracking, slightly incompetent character.
Also, Lois used to be a caring mother and not a sex symbol wannabe. Chris used to be just an average teenage boy.
Lois is still a caring mother, and Chris has been acting like a teenager since the beginning. I don't see any difference between how they acted between then and how they act now, except the fact that they're not boring and dull anymore, including Brian.
Meg still didn't do anything. Stewie used to be an evil baby trying to kill his mother, and Brian used to be a dog that had no sign of being politically informed. Wow, now these sound like more likable characters. Why the heck the change? Since the show was revived, these characters have had a total make-under.
They never changed into completely different people. You're exaggerating.
This show had the Looney Tunes show formula done on them.
What the hell does the Looney Tunes show have to do with anything? Making random analogies make me sound smart.
This show also is home to several other annoying characters. There's Quagmire, who's a sex maniac who never stops going giddy, 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 and it gets really freaking irritating.
That was a poor impression of Quagmire, which I'm not surprised. Also, how dare you compare Adam West's career to Rob Schneider's? Adam West was the 60s freaking Batman. Rob Schneider was in The Hot Chick, which is one of the worst movies ever made.
Then there's Herbert, an old pedophile who's not really funny, just creepy.
I think you're taking the idea of Herbert being a pedophile too seriously that you're ignoring his jokes, because, in my opinion, he's one of the funniest characters on that show.
And there's Greased Up Deaf Guy. Just why?
Here's a question for you. Why bring up a character that has no significant purpose of the show?
Anyway, there are several more annoying characters we could go over, but I don't want to because I have a migraine enough as it is. This is supposed to be a comedy show, but it really goes the lowest on the comedy ladder to try and get a laugh. There's racist jokes, sexist jokes, fart jokes, stupid jokes, celebrity jokes, chicken jokes, rock jokes, sync jokes, Star Wars jokes, and several other stupid jokes that just make me want to facepalm until I give myself a nosebleed.
If the jokes in Family Guy will make you facepalm, then the jokes in Drawn Together will make you punch yourself in the face constantly until your own mother won't even recognize you.
One of the biggest ways this show executes jokes is by the use of flashbacks. These flashbacks have nothing to do with the plot, nor do they even make any sense. They just appear and disappear, and I wonder why they were supposed to be funny.
They don't necessarily push the plot forward, but they do serve a purpose, to be unique from other shows with the same base setting, and to have a leeway for creative gags. And the show will pretty much tell you right away if there is going to be a clip coming up. They don't show a random cutaway joke at a random time, or else it wouldn't be funny or make any sense. The Family Guy writers are smarter than that.
Some of the biggest examples where I go, huh? What? When I'm watching this show is one joke I remember where one character said he's more stubborn than a mule, and then it showed a guy talking to a mule, and the mule just kept hee-hawing. What the heck was that about? How was that supposed to be funny? What the flub kind of humor is this show going for?
Nope. Sorry. Kevin Bacon wasn't in Footloose.
What? Of course he was.
No, he wasn't. You lose.
Of course he was. He was the star.
Nope, you're wrong. Look it up.
I don't have to look it up. It's common.
No,
it was a huge movie.
No,
he was the lead.
No.
Tell the full thing. Don't half-ass it.
Another flashback joke involved a parody of some butter commercial where it shows two hands and a woman hand hogging the butter, and the male hand proceeds to stab the woman hand. Gee Manetly! Gruesome much? Dark comedy is supposed to be done in a funny way, not in a stabbing till somebody's bleeding way.
You didn't tell the part after he stabbed her with the knife.
Hey, joke's on you, I have hepatitis.
And you don't think dark comedy involves violence? Boy, are you naive.
Well, I think the main problem with this show is that it makes fun of a lot of modern pop culture. Well, I believe that's one of the worst ways to make a cartoon.
The Simpsons do a lot of pop culture references, and you like it. South Park does it too, and it's one of the most successful shows on television.
If you want your cartoon to be successful for years to come, you contain stuff that people many years from now are going to understand. You make it timeless. People aren't going to understand a parody of certain commercials many years from now. Heck, I don't even understand it now!
I assume you haven't watched enough Family Guy episodes to list the most memorable Family Guy moments. Here's some brief examples.
We all sing with glee, 'cause we all agree it's a wonderful, wonderful day for pie. Bad, bad, Birds are what a bird. Surfing.
But we've only scratched the surface here. Family Guy isn't only good at making bad dated jokes. Oh no, they are also good at stealing other people's jokes. Yeah, that's right. They need other people's material to be funny, and this is what really ticks me off about this show. I'm against using other people's characters to make a laugh unless it's supposed to be a sketch show or a Mad magazine. You shouldn't need other people's characters to get a cheap laugh. You have your own characters. Use them!
First of all, Family Guy is a satirical comedy, not just a sitcom, and the purpose of one is to parody, so they are allowed to use any kind of characters they need in order for a parody to hit the mark, just like Mad and sketch shows like Saturday Night Live. Second, if you think doing a parody of someone's joke is considered stealing, then you're sadly mistaken. Give me one legit joke that Family Guy blatantly stole from, because you'll find they never did. Seth MacFarlane is no Carlos Mencia. And lastly, they have used their own characters for parodies before, and Star Wars is a key example.
But let me give examples as to why this ticks me off. Some examples I could think of is when it flashed back to Walt Disney asking Mickey Mouse to take her top off. Really? That's not funny. That's just sick. But, oh, we're not done. Then it flashed back to Peter stabbing Yogi Bear right in front of Boo Boo. Wow, still gruesome, huh?
After seeing the Yogi Bear movie, he got what was coming to him.
But no, the biggest one that really ticked me off was when it showed Elmer Fudd shooting Bugs Bunny several times and finally cracking his neck. That's it! How dare you do that? How dare you take characters that we've loved since childhood and just spit right in their faces just to try to get a cheap laugh? And I know some of you might say, oh, Ben, relax, it's just a joke. A joke? That's the show's idea of a freaking joke? Bugs being shot and his neck being cracked? Joke! All I see is a character I love being killed very brutally right before my eyes. That's not funny. Screw you, Family Guy. Screw you.
And this, my friends, is a prime example of people who take the show too seriously. Let me tell you something, Ben. Bugs Bunny is nothing more than a drawing. And you want to yell in my headphones saying that anyone who kills off something that you like should be condemned, since you're accusing the Family Guy writers for being sadists. And by the way, Ben, I got another Looney Tunes death for you to watch.
I was walking by when I picked up the smell of 11 herbs and spices.
And beyond all that, several characters from popular media appear out of nowhere in this show. Okay, I know you're a cartoon, but you're a cartoon about a family living in Rhode Island. This isn't Who Framed Roger Rabbit where all these cartoon characters can walk around nonchalantly. You know, it just doesn't work like that.
Even though it's a sitcom, it's animated, so it's also considered a cartoon. And as a cartoon, it can go past realism and be something completely extraordinary. And what do you mean the show isn't allowed to randomly show popular people from media? This show has talking animals, for Christ's sake, not to mention anthropomorphic animals. The Simpsons does the exact same thing too. It may be a sitcom, but it also acts like a cartoon. How can you compare a family who live in a fictional city where everyone is a vibrant yellow to a show about an average and dull family living in San Francisco that's live action? Riddle me that, Ben.
Featuring jokes that make no sense, they're dropping more fart and sexual jokes than I've ever seen from anything in this modern age.
I do believe South Park is the winner of that category, thank you very much.
Fart jokes and sex jokes aren't funny. If somebody can successfully explain to me how these jokes are funny, then I'll personally bend down and kiss your feet. And I don't plan on getting my mouth dirty.
Ben, it's the little things in life that make us laugh. And that is why stuff like that works. Ben, I think you're just being insecure with the show as if it's that bully that you come across on school grounds. South Park has done a lot of sex jokes over the years, and it's one of the most successful shows on television, like I said. So Ben, I believe you owe me some feet kissing.
But another main thing that ticks me off about this show is that it's a big Simpsons ripoff.
Wait a minute, You just said earlier that you were fine with it for copying The Simpsons, because you said that a lot of projects tend to copy base material. Hypocrisy at its best, people.
In a Treehouse of Horror where Homer gets a hammock that clones himself, Peter Griffin is seen as one of the clones of Homer Simpson. How does Family Guy respond? Quagmire rapes Marge and kills every single member of the Simpsons family. That's right, he even kills little Maggie Simpson. Yeah, that's funny. Wow, that just proves how low the show is when it can't even do a comeback joke in a tasteful manner. Way to go, Family Guy writers. Where did you get your writing degree? A box of Cracker Jack?
Ben, you want to know how McFarlane got hired by Hanna-Barbera? It was solely on his writing talent. And this is my personal opinion, guys. If it wasn't for that talent, shows like Johnny Bravo wouldn't be as funny as they were.
So, Family Guy is a comedy show that doesn't even know the definition of the word.
Don't underestimate Seth MacFarlane's intelligence. He will hunt you in your sleep.
Meet Seth MacFarlane.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought this was a rant on Family Guy, not a rant on Family Guy and Seth MacFarlane. You can't even trust the damn title.
But, what's the problem with all this? All these shows are being made at the exact same time!
I think you meant that these shows are running at the same time. Do you even proofread your script?
Seth MacFarlane has the nerve to make 3 shows at the same time? How disrespectful is that to other animators who want to make animated shows?
How exactly is that being disrespectful? Okay, so he has 3 shows running now. That just means Seth MacFarlane can work 3 shows simultaneously. Seriously, why does it matter to you? They're all running on one channel. There are hundreds of other channels for future animators to run their shows on.
I mean, sure, some people could consider it talented to be working on 3 shows at the same time, but I don't respect that. That just shows how money-grabbing you are, as well as selfish.
You know, I really hate people that have the balls to insult and judge someone who they have never met in person before, and I highly doubt you have, Ben, because I know how much you love to have preconceived notions of things without giving them a chance.
He's also the developer on the upcoming Flintstones reboot. Oh, so help me God, I'm going to get so mad that I'll burst into flames and then explode. And explode again!
But you wouldn't explode because you already burst into flames, let alone exploding again after the initial explosion, which wouldn't happen because you already burst into flames, which is somewhat similar to an explosion, but not as potent. Oh dear God, this makes no sense.
Now, don't get me wrong. Although Seth MacFarlane may be a self-centered jerk,
You superficial, pretentious jackass.
he actually used to have talent. Before he made Family Guy, he worked at Hanna-Barbera working on several Hanna-Barbera cartoons in the 90s, such as Cow and Chicken and Johnny Bravo. He was then able to make his own cartoon on the What a Cartoon show called Larry and Steve. And I actually think that it's a pretty good cartoon. The animation is good, the timing is perfect, and the jokes are actually funny. Why they didn't go with this, I have no idea.
Larry and Steve was just a pilot that helped Family Guy get off the ground. Don't get me wrong, I like the cartoon as well, but I just accept what I get, and I believe it's satisfying.
And it feels like it's being animated by 10-year-olds.
Ben, this man has a bachelor's degree in the fine arts. What do you have? Nothing. So don't insult a professional's work if you don't have anything to back yourself up. And I'm sorry that Family Guy isn't your standard of animation, but you're the one that's acting like a 10-year-old.
Family Guy is a popular animated sitcom that is badly animated, the characters aren't likable, it insults other cartoons, it lacks originality, it's being run by a conceited hack, and its humor is bottom of the barrel.
Nah, you're just confusing Family Guy with Ren and Stimpy's adult party cartoons.
And I don't like to associate this with other cartoons.
But falsely accusing professionals for what they do best from people who don't have any professional background is okay. And now I'm going to skip a bit at the part where he mentions stuff that he thinks is funny, which has absolutely no purpose of being there other than to be filler to make his videos longer. What, you think longer videos equal more views?
And there you go. Anyway, I'm Ben, and I'm signing out. I'm gonna go hug my Bugs Bunny plushie.
Yeah, because I'm sure girls love guys who sleep with their plushies at night. And that's the end of his rant. Ben, you are a superficial, biased elitist that likes to bash on shows just to make your opinions more superior than others and think you're always right. Listen, I can accept and respect you for just not liking Family Guy, but you were tackling this rant with extreme prejudice, as if this show is the root of all evil. And I find it unjustifiable for someone like you, who has no professional qualifications, to flat out insult someone who is a professional. And you may have said that you respect the fans, but from hearing your tone and attitude towards the show during this rant, it seems to me that you don't, at all. And this clip proves it.
Who out there likes butts? I do.
Look at that boy, running all around like a chicken with his head cut. Wait a minute.